Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. I hope everyone is doing good. So in today's video, we are going to look into the IAM roles, policies and groups. So this session is going to be a hands-on session. And this is the first session of the playlist AWS for data engineers, which we have discussed in our previous session. So I assume that you would have already created the AWS free tier account. If you have not created the AWS free tier account, go first create the AWS free tier account and then come to this video. So in IAM, we have few components. The first is users, then group, policies, and roles. So whenever any employee or anyone who joins the AWS account, so we create a user entry for that person. So that is called IAM user. Group is a logical unit, a logical unit defined to a particular purpose. For example, there is a developer group, there is a admin group, there is a testing group in your project or in your account. So any user who are going to join AWS account will be assigned to the particular group. For example, a developer is going to join the AWS account, then the developer will be assigned to a developer group. So a different group has been created. And similarly, we have policies. Policies means permissions. You can assign these policies to a particular group directly, or you can assign these policies to the group itself. And in a group, for example, there are 10 to 20 employees are assigned to a group, and we have one policy is assigned to that particular group. Then all the same policies will be applicable to all the people who are in that group. There is a different concept called roles. Roles is something which is temporarily assigned to a particular user. For example, a user is a normal user, is a developer, but now you want to give some different role. For example, you want to give a different role to a user so that he can temporarily access few of the S3 bucket. So that role we can create, and that role, that user can assume that role and do the work, and after that we can deattach that role. So role is for the temporary purpose, but for the longer purpose, we have a user, group, and policies. Generally, we attach policies to the group. It's not advisable to attach policies to the users, but we can do it. We can directly attach a policy to the user. AWS is not stopping you to do that. But advice is that we create a group, add the user to that particular group, and create a policies and attach the policies to that group. So we'll see all these things practically. So I have a AWS account here. So this is a free tier account. I have logged in as a root user. Okay. So when I click here, so I'm not getting any option to change my role. Okay, we'll discuss that later on. So the root user have all the permission. It can look into the costing, billing. It can give any permission to any of the user. It can create the user, anything. So root is the topmost user. It's not advisable to log in as a root when you are working in any organization, any company. You will be never given the access to the root of the root. But as this is a free tier account, so I have a root access. So you can access the services from here, like here the recently visited services. You can click here, you can go to the different services. You can directly write the services name. For example, IAM. So IAM is one of the services. You can directly write the service name, and you can go into it. So I'll go into the IAM dashboard, IAM service. And there are multiple things, like, so you can see that there is no users, no policies attached. So you can first go to the user. We'll create a user first, and we'll see what are different options for a user. You can click on create user, and then you can give the user name. For example, I'll write here Santosh test. This is for the test purpose. You can give the AWS management console option also. I'll tell you later on, like, how we can give this AWS management console and what's the meaning of it. So currently we are not going to give anything. We are just clicking on next. And now there are three options. One is add user to group, attach policies. Okay. So if you already have a policies, you can attach that policy while creating the user, or you can add the user to the group, and there is an option to create the group. So you can create the group here, and you can attach that particular user to that group. I'm not going to create any group now. I'm just going to create a simple user. So I'll click on next. Now you can see the detail has been given. The username is Santosh Test. The console password type is none, because I have not given the console permission. Console means this particular dashboard permission. The user will be not able to log in into the AWS dashboard. Required password reset, no, because there is no login permission. Okay. So you can assign the tag. So for example, tag is for uh, searching purpose, for proper audit purpose. Like for example, there are multiple developer has joined your AWS account in the project. and they are of L1 level. So you can define L1 as a key and the value as like the new joiners. So you can give the key pair value, and with the help of tag, it will be easy to search them. It will be easy to do the user management. But because in when your account has grown to a larger extent, then there will be multiple users being created into AWS, and to manage all this user, it will be very difficult. So tag is the easiest way to search and do the management of the users. Okay. As a developer, you're not going to do this. As a developer, you're not going to create the user. I don't think so in your project it will be allowed to create a user. That will be done by the admin, but you should know how to do that. Now you will create a user. Now it's creating a user. So Santosh test user has been created. Now I'll click on this user. And now I'll start giving some few of the permission. For example, I want to give the console thing. So I'll go to the security credential first. So console sign in is not given. So I'll enable the console access. So auto generated password, that's okay. I'll just click on auto generated password. You can also give the custom password. I'll give the auto generated password. Now user must create a new password at next sign in. So if you click on this, you check on this, then after first sign in of the user, it will be asked to create a new password to the user. I'm not going to do that. Now enable console access. Okay. Now you have successfully enabled the user's new password, because password I have given auto generated. So this is the console URL. You need to copy this. Now user is Santosh test and console password. Let's click on so copy, because that password will be available only for the first time. When you refresh this page, or when you log out of this page, and then again when you log in, you will be not able to see the password. So it can see, it's written also here. This is the only time you can view this password after you close this window. If the password is lost, you must create a new one. Okay. You can also download it as a .csv file. So I'll close it now. So now I have given the console permission. So I'll click on user again. I'll go to Santosh. Now you will see the console permission has been given. Console access enable without MFA. MFA is something different. With the help of MFA, you can have a better security during the access. That has to configure in your mobile. You can check it. It's a very normal thing on Google and check in what MFA is. If you have any doubt in an MFA, just you can ping me, you can mail me, or you can post in the comment. I'll just give the solution. There's another thing that you can see here, create access key. So access key is generally required when you want to access your AWS account, or when you want to access the AWS services with some program, with the help of a program. Now, if you don't want to access your AWS account in a console in the UI phase, you have a Python program. With the help of Python program, you want to connect your AWS account, list some S3 bucket, create some S3 bucket, get some data, or you want to do something of the services of the AWS. In that case, you need a username and password and authentication to log in into the AWS. For that, you need to create access key. You can click on that. We'll see this, like how it works. Then you have another thing called ARN. ARN is the unique uh, digit or unique things tag attached to a particular resource. Now this user is one of the resource, and then a unique ARN has been created to this user. If you create another user, you will have a unique ARN. If you create any S3 bucket, it will be having a unique ARN. If you create any EC2 instance, that particular instance will be resource will be having a particular unique ARN. Okay. Now you see this is there. Now I have already given the user the console in login. So I'll just copy this console which I have written here, and I'll try to log in. I'll open another browser. Okay. Now user is Santosh test, and the password is this one. You can see the password, confirm yes, sign in. So now you see your sign in as a Santosh test. So you will not have any permission for the cost and uses. See, when you create a user, like when we have seen now, when we have created the user, so initially there will be no permission assigned to the user. So user will have a zero permission when any user is created by default. So we have to explicitly give all the permission to the user. So first permission what we have given is the console login. So this is the console login. If I go to S3 bucket, let's see if it has a permission for doing something. And you can see here there will be option for the bucket. Okay, so you don't have a permission to list bucket. You don't have a permission to list bucket. You will not have any permission because not given any permission. So this is the console login which we have given, and you can again give another different permission to this. So we'll see how to give the S3 permission, how to create a policies, and that policies will be attached to this user. And with the help of that policy, the user will be able to access the list the S3 bucket. So now we are going to look into the policies. Okay. So by default, there are multiple policies here. Okay. So if you want to see what's the detail into this, any policies, for example, I'll just click on something, for example, S3. Amazon S3 full access. Click on this plus button. You will see this in a JSON format. So allow all the S3, all the access, S3 object lambda, all the access, and to all the resources. So this is the full access. There are multiple policy which are already created by AWS. You can directly use this policy. But in most of the scenarios in your organization, you will be creating your own policy. So for your creating the own policy, you will just you will click on the create policies. There is two ways you can create the policies. First is by visual and the other is by JSON. So JSON is more easy to do it. So you can see here, this kind of JSON template will be provided to you. So statement is there. You can give any of the statement like S3 access to user, effect is allow, action what you want to do. So there can be multiple actions. So I want to give S3 full access. So S3 colon, and I want to give the full access to this. Okay. Now I want to give which kind of resource. So in our case, I'm going to give all the resources, but you can also specify which kind of resource or which resource. For example, there is one services, EC2 services, and you want EC2 services to access a particular S3 bucket. In that way, in S3 access, you can, or you're creating a policy, you can give the resource, you can give the constraint on the resource also. But here I'm going to give all the resources, and then I'm going to create the policy. Next, it will ask for the policy name. So I'll write the policy name here. Santosh test S3 access. Okay, you can give the description and then allow S3. It will automatically create this permission. Now when we have edited the JSON and when we have created the policy, now it has created this in the background, like the service is S3 full access to all the resources. Okay. Again, you can create the new tag, what we have explained. I have explained while creating the user, the same concept lies here. You can again create the new tag for this policy. Create policy. Okay. Now your policy is created. You can drag down, you can see policy. See, this policy is created. You can search here, policy is created. Now again, I'll go to the user. Now I'll attach the policy to this user. I'll click on this user. Okay. Add permission, add permission. Okay. Attach policies directly. I'll write it here. Search for this policy. You can click on this. Then next. Okay. Add permission. So now this has been added, the permission, one of the policies has been added to this user. Now I'll go to that console where I have logged in as this Santosh test, and that particular user, Santosh test user, was not having access to list the bucket. So I'll click here. I'll refresh this page. Okay. Now you see I have logged in with the Santosh test and have the permission to, there is no bucket here in this AWS account, but now there is no issue for this, the listing of this bucket. So this way you can create the policy, you can attach that policy to the user. But the most advisable way is to create a group and then attach the policy to the group and then add that user to that particular group. So what we are going to do now, we are going to remove this policy from this user. So I'll go again from this side. I'll go click on user. So there one policy has been attached. So I'll click on this. I'll remove the policy, remove policy. Yes. Okay, policy has been removed. Now I'll go to the user group. I'll create a group. Okay, the user group is Santosh hyphen test group. Okay. Now add user to the group. You can directly add the user to the group from here. You can attach policies to this group. So what I will do, I'll not add the user right now. I'll create a group and I'll attach a policy here. So my policy is this. And meanwhile, like I have removed the permission from the this policy to from the user. So if I again go to this console, I'll refresh this page. You will see this user will again have that issue to list the bucket. Again, this issue is there. Okay, permission denied. Now I'm going to attach this policy to this group. Now this will create the user and also attach the policy. If you don't have a policy already created, you can create the group and then later on you can go inside the, you can create the policy. So I mean to say, like, if you don't have a policy already created, so you can create the group, then you can create the policy and then you can go inside the group and attach that policy to that group. So, okay, I'll show you that. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to click any of this thing. I'm just simply going to create the group. So it is create user group. Okay, so I have this group. So I'll go from this side. I'll click on this. Now this is my group. Okay, no permission, nothing is defined into this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add the permission, attach policies. Okay, I'll click search for my policy which I have created. Now this is okay. I have a mic here. Now attach policies. Fine. Now you will see this policy has been attached to this group. Now I have to add our user to this particular group. I'll click on user. Now Santosh test. So if I click on groups, there is no group. So add user to the group. So this is only one of the group is available which I have created. So I'll click on this, add user to groups. Okay. So now you can see a group has been added to this user. If you see in the permission, one policy is also being added to this, and this is via this group. It's not directly. Now we have attached the policy to the group, and now the policy is not attached directly to the user. So it's showing that it is through the group, the policy. Now you go to this same thing and again refresh this page. You will not have that permission denied issue. So this was all about I am role, not role, sorry. This was about I am a user, group and policies. So now we'll be going to create the role, and then I will attach a policy to that role, and we'll ask the user to assume the role of S3 bucket access. So role is a temporary purpose. Now, for example, if you have given multiple permission to a user through direct policy or through group, but if you have given another permission from the role, like you've created one role, I'll just explain you in this way. It will be confusing. For example, there's one user here. Let me click the mic here. Okay. There is a user Santosh test. Now I have given, for example, permission to like no S3 bucket creation permission is not given. For example, with the help of policy, only list bucket permission is given, but no S3 bucket creation is given to Santosh user. And this is through policies via group or directly. Group or directly. Fine. Now, if I create a role, okay, and that role, I attach a policy, that role, create S3 bucket. Okay. And now if I assign Santosh test user to this role, okay. Now what will happen? Although with the help of group and direct policy, Santosh test is not having a permission to create the S3 bucket, but I have created a role, and role is for the temporary purpose. There is no time limit, but from a logical way, it's saying like it's a temporary purpose. Now you've created a role which gives the permission create S3 bucket to Santosh test. So the permission of the role will be on the highest priority. So you a Santosh test can have multiple permission, multiple constraint with the help of policies, direct or with the group. But anything which is assigned through the role is given the highest priority. So the permission mentioned in the role is always the highest priority. So now we are going to look into the roles. But before that, I'm just going to delete the user group and the policies to that. So if you click on this, I'll delete this. Okay. So this way you can delete this user. I will go on policies. I'll remove the policies from here. Okay, I'll just keep this policy. Okay, no, let's remove this policy. I'll create a new policy when I'll just create the uh, role. Okay. There's no policy, no group, but I have a user here, Santosh. Okay. No, I'll go on roles. So there are few roles already been created here. So, but I'm going to create a new role. Okay. So there are multiple trusted entity. For example, you want a role for the EC2, Lambda, and others things. So there are for the different account. So there is something for the web entity. So we are not going to detail of this. We will click on AWS account. So we want the role to be in this account or multiple account. So in our case, we are going to look into this account. Like this role will be active for this particular user account. You can see here account ID is written 0768. So my role should be in this account. Any user who is going to assume this role or who is going to acquire that role will have that role policies in this account itself. You can mention another AWS account also, but I don't have any other account. So I'll put it into this one. Okay, no MFA required, nothing external ID. I'll just click on next. Okay. Now you can give the policies to this. Okay. So I don't have any custom policies, or I can give directly S3 bucket policy. I can, because I want the full S3 access. You can click on this and you can see this S3 access, full S3 access I want to give to this role. So you can click on this and then next. Okay. You can give the role name, Santosh test role S3 access. Okay, you can give the description. So this is the role, the permission which is going given, trusted policies. So this is for this particular account. If we add multiple account, you can add a multiple account also here. So in another account also, that other user can assume that role, that this role will be active there, but this is now active into this account 076. This is the current account. What policies we are giving, S3 full access policies we are giving. You can then again assign the tag, the same thing which I mentioned while creating the user, and then you can create the role. Now this role is created when I click on roles. Okay. Santosh test S3 access. You can click on this. You can look into this. Fine. Now I'll just, now I've created a role and I have attached a policy. So while creating the role, you can attach the policy, or you can create a role and later on also you can attach the policies. Now I'm going to assign, okay, meanwhile, I want to see that this particular user, Santosh test, is having the access to list the S3 bucket or not. It should not have an access, because when you click on this user, you go to, there is no policy, no permission has been given. So if I go to this link, I'll just refresh this page. So this user should again get the permission denied. Okay. And again, permission denied access. So now I'll go to the user, Santosh test. and then now I have to make this role or attach the this user to that particular role. So how we can do that? So as a like how we attach policy or group to the user, we cannot do directly. So there is another way, like create inline policy. Okay, we'll go to the JSON, and here we can assign or we can give the information like which role this particular user is going to be assigned. Here you can give any name like role s3 access. Here in action, we have to give the role which we have assumed. Like if you go into the next another tab, I've opened it. So this role we have, so we have to give the resource as an ARN. So in action, we have to give. Okay. And in the resource, I have to give the ARN of the role which I have created. So here you can see this was of my role and this is the ARN. So I'll just copy this. Go here, just paste this ARN. Okay. No error here. So now I can click on next. So now this role permission defined in this policy. Okay. For the test user, so you've created a policy. Okay, fine. Now you can see service STS limited right, role name string like Santosh test. This is the name of the role. Create policy. Fail to create policy name is required. Okay, I have not given the policy name. Role S3 access policy. Fine. Create policy. Okay. Now again, I'll go to this user. Click on this user. You can see the policy here. You can click on this button and you can see the policy directly here. So you've given this assume role. Action is assume role. On which role? So this is the ARN of the role. Now, if you go on this browser again and you can refresh, this user should not have the permission denied issues here. So we can again see that there is a permission denied issues for this user. And this is because this particular user has Santosh test user had not assumed this role. Now this role has been assigned, but you have to change the role for that user. For that, we have to go into the role. Okay, click on this role and you can see that link to switch the role in console. We have to copy this one. Click on this, copy the link here. Now you see there is no issue. Okay, I just not copied it properly. Okay. Now it is giving an option. Your account ID is this, IAM role is this. You're not going to switch the role. So display name, you can give any display name and leave it like this. Display color, you can give any, for example, I will just give blue color. Okay. Now I'm going to switch the role. Just click on switch role. Now you can see I'm logged in with the Santosh test role 3 access. Okay. So Santosh test role 3 access with this role I'm logged in into it. Okay. Current active as this one. Okay. Account ID is the same. The user is Santosh test. Okay. The same user which was not having the permission. And now if you go to S3 bucket, click on S3. And now this user is able to, okay, I'll click on this general purpose bucket. There is no issue now in the listing for the bucket. There is no bucket itself there. So when you create a role and when you create a policy to that role, attach that role to a particular user, just by doing that, the user has not assumed that role. For that, you have to go to the role. You have to copy this link, and then with this link, the user can log in into that particular role. Now, other thing is when the user has done all this work, then how can this user come back or come out of this role? So you can click here and you can just switch back. When you click on switch back, now user will not have that role. And now as the user don't have that assumed role, now again that user is having that permission issues because the role is not there. Now user is not logged in with that particular role. Now if again I go here, I copy this URL And then again, I log in with this URL, which I have copied now. It will ask for the switching for the role. Again, if there are multiple roles assigned to the user, we can also list it here. So we can switch role here, and then you can again see the same thing. User is Santosh test, and you can see current active as this role. And now the user will have the access to the S3 bucket. So the listing permission is there. So this role may be a bit confusing. So in role, what we have done, I'll summarize it. Create a role, okay? Create a policy, attach that policy to a role. Create a user. Inside the user, create a policy. In the policy, give the ARN of the role. And then with the help of this link, that user can assume that role. The user has been given that role. For example, you have been made the prime minister of a country, but you have not assumed you have not taken that role actively. So want to make that role active to you. So you have to go log in with this link. So again, I'll go into this is the role, created the role, created the policy, go into the user, go into inside the user, create a policy, inline policy. You can expand it here. So I've given assume role and the ARN of that particular role. If you have multiple role, you can give multiple ARN. Fine. So this was all about IAM role, IAM user group policies. This will create a fundamentals for you. And still, if you have any doubt in the beginners level, you can just post it in the comment. You can connect me through LinkedIn. I have put the LinkedIn in my channel description and also in the video description. You can go into it. You can connect with me. You can interact with me. And if any doubt, put it in the comment. Do practice this. Create your own free tier AWS free tier account and practice it. I'll come up with I thought of creating the S3 bucket content also in the same video of the IAM thing, but it was going to be very lengthy. So I thought of bringing another video for the S3 thing, S3 content. So till now, happy learning and goodbye.